welcome to tonight's episode of Crypto City. Tonight is actually going to be part one of our Toolbox series. So we do a lot of talking about AI and how to prompt and how to use AI. Tonight, I'm going to share with you some resources. A couple weeks back, we touched on them lightly in one of the episodes, and I put all the links out there in the Discord for everyone. So hopefully maybe you've gone on and you've played around with some of the links. But tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about, going to those and seeing the nuances and the differences in them. In the interest of time, I have actually loaded up the websites that these are on in the back end, and I've pasted in some of the prompts to just save us some time of me typing, because I do not type fast at all. But if they time out, we'll enter them in. So I ask you all to just have a little bit of patience with me if that happens. But I do want to, go in here. We're going to talk about several different things. The first one is going to be AI business tools, okay? And some of these, I'm sure most of you have used already. Maybe you've already played around with them at work, because some of them are very common. Some of them you've probably used in your browser. You see here that I have Claude and Gemini, Perplexity, Notion AI, and ChatGPT. I actually put ChatGPT at the bottom because I talk about ChatGPT in here all the time. And I've given you guys lots of examples and different things. So we're going to touch on it lightly, but we're not going to do too much with that one because I feel like I've already given you a lot with that. So I kind of want to touch on some other things to change it up a little bit. So the first one we're going to talk about is Claude. So Claude is an AI assistant made by Anthropic, and you can use it for brainstorming, writing, analyzing information, working with documents, even coding and planning, and a lot of the same general business tasks that you may already associate with the AI assistants you're already using. Claude is very commonly known, and it's very popular amongst a lot of people. So for Claude, I'm actually going to take you here. So I'm logged into my Claude account. Now, I'm going to tell you something on most of these pages we're going to go to tonight, okay? These websites, most of them have a quick generic version that you can use. You usually have to put your email in, and I know that leads to tons of spam, but I'm just going to put it out there right now that there are very few of them that allow you to use without any sort of login on some level. But there are definitely some on here that have upgrades that you can purchase. So if you're using a certain one, like I've talked before about how I purchased the higher level of ChatGPT because I'm using the hell out of that program. So I needed more. But I also, I want you to know that there are a lot of programs on here that are only pay versions to really get anything out of them. So I haven't bought all of these. There will be some that we will just go to the website and take a little picture, screenshot so that you can see. There are some that we won't get too in depth in. And I see we still have some people coming in the audience. Welcome. We just started, so we're on the very first one. We're talking right now about AI business tools. And the first category here in that toolbox is, we're going through, we mentioned the first one is Claude. And a lot of people are using Claude right now, and it is very similar to a ChatGPT. I wanted to give you a little example. And I wanted to kind of make it relevant so the people who are here would understand what I'm talking about. So I typed in, I run a small VR event company. I have a limited marketing budget and a team of 3 people. Help me create a 4-week promotional strategy for a virtual event. Start by asking me 5 questions you need answered before creating the plan. So I'm now interacting with the AI and saying, this is what I want from you. But before we get there, ask me relevant questions so that we're not just sitting here step by step by step, bantering back and forth. I'm asking you, pull the information from me that you think is essential to start doing this. So now I'm going to hit enter, push this through. And it goes through and it starts thinking about what I've asked from it. It says, happy to help. Before I build a plan, here are 5 things I need to know. What's the event, the type and topic? Example, is it a product launch, a conference, blah, blah, blah. When is it happening and what platform is it on? It's VR chat, Meta Horizon, or a custom app. Who's the target audience? Existing community, cold audience, B2B? What's the actual budget, rough dollar amount, even a range so I can allocate realistically and across paid and organic tactics? What assets or channels do you already have? An email list, social following. So now it's asking me for all that information in advance. When I answer that, that's when it's going to start putting together the plan based on what information it now gathers from me. So AI doesn't have to immediately spit out an answer. It's not always, what's this? Here it is. Sometimes it can be like an interview and you can go back and forth with asking the right questions before you get your finished product. So, I'm going to say to it right here, I'm going to say the event is a product launch for Meta glasses. This is obviously not true. I'm just making this up. Then I'm going to say that it's going to be in VRC. And I'm going to say that the target audience is B2B. And the budget, I have $500 to put toward it. And then what assets or channels do I already have? Well, I have social media only, I'm going to say. Got it. A B2B launch event for the Meta Smart Glasses, hosted in VR chat, $500 budget, social only promotion, 3-person team. That's a lean, scrappy setup. So the plan needs to lean on organic content, smart targeting, and a little paid boost in the moments that matter most. So here's a 4-week strategy. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but I'm looking through it and I see here, the foundation and the teaser, the value and credibility, urgency and proof, and then the final push the day of. So it gives me all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, you know what? This is great, but I don't know that we really have this time. And I don't really know that my team's going to be able to dedicate what you're asking for here. So I'm just going to tweak it a little bit. And I'm going to say, I like this, but we are volunteers and this is too much content. Cut the workflow by 50%. See what it comes back with. So this is a huge ask. We're trying to put together a product launch. We're putting basically no work into it with minimal money, but it's still going to come back. Makes sense. Volunteers can't sustain on a daily post cadence. So now they brought it down and they put an announcement, direct outreach, a push for RSVPs, and a reminder the day of. So that cut everything way back. That's much more doable with my team. So total content across 4 weeks is 6 posts with 2 rounds of DMs, and it says, even if this feels heavy for 3 volunteers, the outreach, are the 2 things that I'd protect. And they do the real work. So here I am actually doing work now with this AI and putting together something that may have seemed impossible. Now, I'm going to mention something that Claude has that a lot of other AIs have as well, maybe under different names. In Claude, it's called artifacts. And that basically means that within this program, this little thing that we put together up here, I can call out certain actions and I can say to it to put that into a separate interactive chat. As you can see here on the screen, right here, VR promotional strategy. If I ask it to take out just the launch social media post and put it into a separate thread, it will do that for me. And I can work over there on just that launch so that doesn't get lost in the rest of the planning strategically down. Most AI business tools do things like that. They call it different names though. So as you're playing around, if you're like, I can't figure out how to do that, ask the AI that you're working with. Because the AI will say, oh, I can do that for you. This is how we do it. And it pulls it to the side. So for an example, please create a separate thread for social post. So it's thinking about it, it's checking everything, and it's drafting a social copy as a thread for the VR chat product launch presentation is what it's saying here on the screen. And now here we go. It jumped out and created a separate thing for it that it will save. Okay. So like I said, most AIs in the business realm are going to do that for you, because the worst thing you want to do is to have one long thread with everything in it and then try to go back and search. And let me explain why. A lot of times your control F or your find that you do if you're using a Mac or a PC to find things on the screen will not always return the results you expect within an AI chat. Sometimes it will and sometimes it won't, because if it took, like in, let's say, Chat GPT, if it took it and it put it into a bubble, it may not find it within there. So you definitely want to make sure that you take anything that's super important and bring it out into a separate chat so you can find it easily on the side. Okay. So that's Claude. That's just a high-end thing on that. But I want you to notice that we're moving beyond questions and answers, and we're actually working on something here. So let's go back to our little slideshow here. For anyone who does go onto our Discord and download the slides and play around in there, I did put the prompts in there so you could copy and paste them and be able to use it within your own little test field if you wanted to play around. Obviously, you can always put your own stuff in there as well. I just want to make it easy for people who are unfamiliar to be able to grab something quick and play with it. So our next one we're going to talk about is Gemini. So Gemini, if you aren't familiar with it, I bet you've used it. Gemini is in Google and it's built into it now. So that a lot of it just happens without you even realizing it. But I bet some of you have been on your phone or been in Google and asked about something. And instead of just getting results returned, you actually get dialogue sent back to you now. And it tells you about the information that you asked. And then it asks you questions to try and drive you in the direction. Are you looking to buy this? Are you just looking for information? Tell me more about your wants and needs. So Gemini is Google's AI assistant. So one of the reasons it may be particularly attractive to some people is because it's already connected to the ecosystem. You don't need to worry. If you have a Google account, you already have access to this. So that makes it really great. And Gemini has become much broader than basic chat because Google currently highlights deep research now. They do gems, which are little things that you can save to the side. You know, I told you everybody calls it a little something different. And they highlight, file analysis, image and video creation, and connections with other Google services. So you can actually connect with all the Google apps and have everything kind of feed into itself. So if you got information from one thing and you could actually take some of that and bring it over into your actual Google workspace. But Gemini's deep research can build a research plan. It can search current information and produce sourced reports. So users can also choose additional sources, such as connected Gmail or Drive where the things are available. So you can actually go in and source the things that you have. So let me bring this up. I put an example in because the research is someplace where Gemini does kind of excel over other things. One of the things I used it for recently was I started doing some resistance training, seeing as the virtual fitness group is in attendance. One of the things that I went into it was like, I've never done resistance training. And so I asked it to get me information on how it worked, what it was targeting, and what I needed to do in order for it to be successful. Come to find out, it may not be the right thing for me right now because I have an issue with my back. But I got so much information and full work plans and everything, and it even directed me where to buy what I needed. It was amazing. But this one, I did this example. It's a little different. I wanted it to be something more time appropriate for everyone else here. So let's jump over to Gemini. And I said, research 3 current trends affecting independent digital creators in 2026 and explain why each matters to someone building a small online business. So this is more relevant to everybody else. So I thought this would be appropriate here. So I'm going to put this in. And again, remember, all of these links are going to be in Discord later. Even if we don't go to some of these sites, I put all of the links for all of the sites on the main target slides. So right here, it kicked back. Shift from reach to owned community infrastructure. Algorithm volatility and declining organic reach have pushed creators away from relying purely on ad revenue and platform discovery. Creators are now prioritizing owned distribution, converting social followers into direct channels. Why this matters to small businesses: lower customer acquisition cost. Rented audiences on social media require constant re-engagement or paid ads. Owned channels create a direct, repeatable line of communication. Then it goes on to talk about strategic AI for product efficiency. And it talks about long-term partnerships over one-off sponsored posts. So it's explaining what is needed and why, which is what I asked it. So imagine this is when you would research something that is actually going to help you in your business. So this is more on the broader side of marketing so that you would understand how to structure your business. But if your business already exists and you could go into it and say, I'm finding that my audience is falling off and this is what I'm doing for my promotional, what is the trending, situation out there? Are people really that hooked on influencers and what people have to say? Or are they really just more interested in all these new AI graphics? Should I be more colorful and eye-catching? And will go through and find all that information from you and spit it back so that maybe you can analyze your business plan and your budgets for marketing and decide where you would rather put it. Now, keep in mind, those trends are very industry specific. Yes, influencers work across all platforms and all industries, but not every industry is going to really make sense with influencers. If you're not selling a physical product and you're not watching an unboxing, or you're not having them say, oh, I used this and it was great, depending on what you're doing, an influencer might not be the right strategy for you. So keep that in mind. Also, gems are reusable, customized versions of Gemini that follow instructions you establish, like your rules that you create in some GPTs. So when you tell Gemini, I want you to always do this when pertaining to my social media, when you create images, never go around the edges, because that's one thing that I struggle with if it doesn't obey those rules, because then it's inside of the Instagram navigation system. Why would it do that? That's going to be unlegible. Don't put too much text on there because no one can read it when it's tiny on your phone and people scroll. People need to be caught to stop. If they're not caught by what you put out there, they're scrolling right by it. There's too much to read. Don't put 50 words on that page. Put 5 or 6 key things to catch people's attention and a date and a time. End of story. Everything else you put on there, nobody's reading. And that's the sad truth. It's horrible because people are creating these beautiful flyers. No one's reading them because you have to sit there and expand your screen. And minimal people are looking at computer screens right now for social media. Most of them are looking at it on their phone. So let's go back to the slideshow for a second. Okay. So now Perplexity. So Perplexity was one that I really wasn't all that familiar with. And I realized that the slides here might be a little bit difficult to read, so small. This is one you're going to have to go on and check out. If ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini make you think of like AI assistant, I want you to think of Perplexity as the AI powered research and search. So Perplexity searches the web and produces conversational answers, but the key thing it does is it gives you sources. So if you are trying to put something together and you want to make sure that what you're getting is valuable information, you should always check your sources anyways. Just because AI gives you information does not mean it is correct. And trust me, it's not a lot. And a lot of them at the bottom of the screen will say, this, we can't guarantee this is correct. Do your research, double check it. But the thing with Perplexity, it's more like ask, answer, and get the sources for it. So the research mode can perform many different searches. It can examine large numbers of sources, and it can reason across them to assemble a report. So if you were trying to, put something together for your boss, and you were trying to say, okay, well, I think that, our strategy should be XYZ, and this is the research that I've done on it, and here's the sources it came from, and your sources are, Forbes and Wall Street Journal and all of that. It's going to look a lot more credible than you saying, well, I came back here and I've got, Loudfire's Wild Page coming over here as the resource for that. That might not be credible for exactly what you're doing, or it might be perfectly credible if her business mirrors what you're looking for. So make sure you always do your own research. But here's the thing. This is great for competitor research. This is great for industry trends. It's great for market research and, current technology information. But remember, a citation isn't proof that something is correct. So you can click that citation that it gives you, and you can go in there and you can read the source and verify the information. What I like to do, this is just my trick. Again, everything I tell you is just information I'm imparting. Nothing I tell you is the only way to do something. But what I do when I get information back from any AI is I go straight over to another browser and I type in the answer it gave me as a question. And if the answer that I get to that question is the same as what it just gave me, I ask it again. And if it comes back multiple times with the same information, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing this pop up all over the place as the correct answer. And when it comes up, I'm making sure the websites that it's directing me to are valuable websites, not just random Reddits, not people's posting in chat groups. Make sure you're careful of that when you do research. If it comes back as something that came out of a chat group, go back and search that up again, because I can go on there tomorrow and tell you my opinion. My opinion's not fact. So make sure you're always doing that. And I want you to remember when I tell you, AI can be wrong, we preach about AI usage and literacy and how to work with it. We do not preach AI worship. Worship is, there are things that are not right that it does sometimes. And it's important that you pay attention to that. This next one is Notion AI. Notion is a program. It's a whole workspace program. It is a whole thing. You can go in there and do multiple different tasks with databases and documents. It's almost like a little mini Google Docs type thing with everything in there. Okay. But it comes and it has a lot of AI capabilities that it's incorporating into it. So instead of, go somewhere, ask AI and bring the answer over, it's doing what a lot of new programs are doing. AI lives already inside that program. So you can work with it in there and tweak stuff and bring stuff up. Now, again, this isn't novel. This is stuff that other programs are doing as well. So I'm just giving you different ones. And the reason why I'm giving you so many different programs to look at is because there is not one program for everyone. Everyone has a different style. Everyone has different ways they like to work. Everybody has different feel and like your style might not be the same as mine. So I could tell you this thing works amazing. You go in there and you're like, I'm lost. Or you go in there and you go, this is so basic. I needed something more, so you've got to go in and play around with them. But what I will tell you is if you go in and you do the trials, Keep track of what you sign up for, because almost every single one of these nails you at your 30 days. And most of them don't even give you a warning. There's some that say, hey, your subscription's hitting today. Almost all of them, if you don't cancel before that trial, you get hit. And you can cancel then, but you've already, when you signed up, you agreed to allow it go through. So you're going to get hit for that charge. And you got to fight, and it's a pain. So just be careful everything you're signing up to. So Notion is basically a whole workspace that you can go check out. I told you at the beginning, I was not going to go deep into ChatGPT because I use ChatGPT in here all the time, and you see it all the time. If you're not familiar with it by now, come talk to me. I'll hook you up, get you comfortable in there. But in reality, I think every single person in here has used it, understands it, and it's super powerful if you have the paid versions. It's really powerful if you don't have the paid version. It's just that you run out of credits and stuff pretty quickly. So, but you can see here, this is a snippet of my feed on the side. This goes on about 4 more full sizes of that for the things that I do, and I archive what I'm not using. So there's a lot of stuff on there. I use it for my work. I use it for Crypto City. I use it for Kyle's Legacy, my nonprofit. I use it for that hip hop joint, my other podcast, and I use it for Kampachi City Media, which is another little side project I'm doing too. So I'm using it for all of those. So you've already seen how I use that. I'm not going to show you anything more, but I am going to tell you that I'm not trying to convince you which one is best. I'm giving you the tools for you to go in there, because it is not ChatGPT versus Claude versus Gemini. It's what is the right tool for the job I'm doing. And sometimes the right answer might be multiple. You might use several of them together. So do your research, play around a little bit, research something in Perplexity, explore it further in Gemini, develop an idea with Claude, and then bring the whole final project together in whatever AI you use as your assistant. Okay? You've got no right and wrong way to tell you how to do something. Okay. Next category. And I'm just going to take a sip of water, and I'm going to move through this a little bit quicker now because I want to keep you guys on time. But this next category is AI branding and graphic design. And I think some of you in here are actively using some of these programs. And some of them, maybe might be new to you. So Canva AI is absolutely like one of my top programs that I use. I do have a paid version of it. There is a free version of it. You can create flyers. You can create designs. You can create logos. You can create videos. You can create any social media type of post you need to in Canva. You can bring stuff from outside in. There are so many different musics that you can make in there, like that you can add to your videos. I mean, if you've watched this podcast, the opening slides that you see are all created in Canva. All of this I create in Canva and then bring them into Google Slides so that I can manipulate it how I want. And the theme song to this was just some random thing I found in Canva that I was like, I like how that sounds. It was kind of, VR sounding to me. So that you can do everything in there. We're going to take a quick look over here at Canva. Okay. Now on the paid version, you have something called Magic Media, and Magic Media allows you to create AI videos. It allows you to create AI images. It comes up with a lot of different things. You can make animations. If any of you do actually follow my Instagram, you've seen so many things that I've created over here. If you follow my nonprofit, you've seen little video, fun animation things that I've done. I deal with dogs, so I can make fun things with that. But I typed one in here to save time. It says, create an Instagram promotional design for a modern dog-friendly coffee shop called the Purple Paw Coffee Company. The brand should feel sophisticated but welcoming, using deep purple, cream, and warm neutral tones. The promotion is for pups and pour overs Saturday. Avoid childish or cartoon styling. I don't know what this is going to give me. I'm not going to lie to you. I created this as a sample. I didn't want to do it without you guys. I wanted to see it all together. So let's see what happens. So we're going to generate an image for this. And let's see what it gives us. So this one's interesting because Canva has evolved way past templates. Its Magic Studio includes all of the AI stuff, image and videos, editing. And most of you probably already know Canva is just a graphic design platform, but AI is now integrated and into the creation process, which means that it can take you from idea to like just a quick idea to starting your actual designs so much faster. So we're going to create this. Okay. So let's take a look at the things it created. We'll make them a little bigger. Let's see. So, okay, I told it to stay away from stuff that was too cartoonish, so it actually made it very businesslike. However, you know, this one's not bad, but I don't know that I really love it because it doesn't really feel like the style of what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to delete that one. Let's bring this one in. Okay, this one's kind of cool. Look at the stylish little dog. It's using the colors I told it to use. It's very modern and it's very simple. You know, it's nice and clean. And, you know, all of this stuff, if I was to go back in and work with it for a while, I would massage out all of these areas to put the right text in. But this is really, you know, this one I kind of like. We're going to leave that one there for a second and check this one out. Nope, I can already tell this one is not my style. It doesn't even show a pup. And though, you know, the color scheme just doesn't work so well in that one. So let's delete it. And let's try this last one. I see lots of dogs, but I kind of feel like this one is a little too cheesy. So I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to work with this one. So now it basically gave me everything I asked for. You know, it gave me the colors, it gave me the typography, the imagery, everything. But this is a first draft. This is absolutely not my final thing. So AI gave me the first draft. Now it's my turn to become the creative director. You know, this value isn't necessarily that Canva creates the finished product. It's that it gives you something on a blank canvas that you can work from. Now, you can take this and you can work with the AI in here to clean some of it up. You can take this and bring it back out into Canva and, you know, change, you know, do all your regular editing on it. You can change the colors here. You can go into here and, you know, change the fonts. You can go in and maybe, you know, change the size and restructure it so it fits a flyer. Or if you want to keep it a square, if you're familiar with Canva, you can do all of the regular social media stuff with this. But it did typically follow what I asked it for. Now, the only thing is that you notice in here, text. There's a lot of problems with text, okay? So what I would do is I would take this design and I would bring it into a regular Canva project, and I would grab these fonts and retype whatever information it is that I want in here. Okay. It's simple to overlay. It's simple to work with it. Text, and we're going to talk about this with another program that we're going to look at for a second, but text is a huge problem in AI when it regenerates. If you put a logo in, that's great. And you tell it, use my logo, don't mess with it. That's great. Once it's in the image, if it's not templated with the logo and you regenerate, it can change your logo. So you got to be careful and you got to look at that. It can, and you can say to it, do not touch my logo. Believe me, I've done this many times. And it comes back and I'm like, okay, the logo is almost identical, except what is this little thing on the side here? Or the font changed ever so slightly. And I'm like, why? I told it not to touch it. So now I have to go back to the original, regenerate again. So make things a template. It works a lot better because then it doesn't touch the template. It only changes the pieces that you want to move around. So if you liked this flyer, for example, and you were working with that flyer and you said, you know, I want to go ahead and, you know, just keep this every week and just change the dates. This is going to be the flyer. Then I suggest that you actually make it a template and tell it what sections are going to be editable. And you can do that in ChatGPT. You can do that in Canva. You do that in a lot of programs. So, okay, let's go to back to here. and go to, so this was my little sample again. All the sample examples I give are going to be in the, they're going to be in our Discord. So the next program we're going to look at is Brandmark. Brandmark is great. And in one of the early seasons of Crypto City, I mentioned Brandmark. I found it, I stumbled across it, and I said, what a cool logo creator. That's what Brandmark is. So Canva help us make, create a marketing material. Brandmark is much more focused on helping us establish a visual brand identity. Okay, so starting with your logo. So the first thing you're going to do is create your logo, and then everything else is going to grow from that. So I guess I probably should have done Brandmark first, but I felt like Canva was something that most people are more familiar with. So Brandmark currently generates logos and can extend your identity into things like brand guides, business cards, social graphics, and it can also support a lot of things like SVGs, PNGs, and PDFs. So I'm going to bring us over here. This is going to be one of the ones we're going to look at. So let's come here and go to Brandmark. So in Brandmark, you're going to come here, create a little logo. It does let you do some things before you have to pay. So let's go through here, and the brand name, Purple Paw Coffee Company, same thing we just did a minute ago in Canva. Let's stick with that. And what are my keywords? So my keywords, coffee, dogs, community, modern, and welcoming. And then what color palette do I want? Well, let's see. We got one that has a little purple here. This one's very purple. I think we should go with this one, though, because I feel like it might work with our logo, especially since we're doing coffee, too. So, I mean, the browns and the neutrals appeal to coffee drinkers more than maybe purple, but the purple, is kind of like a thing for me. So, okay, Purple Paw Coffee Company. I don't think that's the right one. So let's see. What do we got here? Nope. I don't hate that one, but I don't love it. I think I typoed purple. So let's see. None of them are giving me a paw, which is kind of interesting. So what I can do is I can edit, and it will bring it here, and I could change the color scheme. Or I can do this. Save changes, nope, discard them. I can go back and I can say, okay, you know what? I don't think that I did the right thing. So let me go into my variants. Oh, okay, here we go. Now we're getting purple. So maybe that's a better fit. I still don't see pause, so I think maybe I need to go back and I need to go back home and go to my logo and, oh, wait a second, I do want to go back and make sure, did I spell, no, I spelled it right. So it's weird that it didn't spell it right when it recreated it. I want to put paw prints in here as an option. And let's go forward. Let's keep our colors. You know what? I'm going to make it a little bit more purpley. And let's see what happens here. Okay, not even close. Oh, wait, now we got an animal. We got coffee. It seems to understand coffee. It does. Oh, look it. Okay, here's a paw, but it's got a medical sign on it. Definitely not right. So the thing is, it will generate hundreds. Boom. Here we go. I see purple paws. Okay, so I could keep going. It will continue generating hundreds and hundreds of logos. When you find the one you like, then you can go into the variants, change things around, and if you get it to be exactly what you want, that's when you can purchase it. So you don't have to purchase anything while you're playing around. That's the greatest thing. We haven't hired a designer. We haven't drawn anything. We just simply gave it some basic prompts and it's creating for us. And it will give you hundreds of logos. That doesn't mean all 100 are good. Look at how many. I was like, nope, 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 nope. You still need to know what your business model is going to be. Now, personally, if it was Purple Paw Coffee Company, I'm still not happy enough with this logo. I would keep going because I want something that symbolizes both coffee. I would want a coffee cup with a purple paw on it. So I might keep going till I get more of what I want. But you can also go in and play around when you have time and just goof around and see if you can come up with something that you like for yourself, even if it's just joking around, like not serious, you know? So I'm just going to shut a couple of these down so we can get ourselves closer. All right, let's go back here. So Looka, we're not going to actually go on to Looka, but Looka is another AI-assisted branding platform. But the interesting part of this training is what happens after the logo. So Looka's brand kit can automatically build hundreds of branded templates for you using the selected logo, colors, fonts, and relevant imagery. You can make social posts, business cards, email signatures, flyers, presentations, invoices. You can do everything all in this one thing. So it saves you tons of time by generating everything, you know, going in and setting everything up. It demonstrates something important about branding, though. Once you've established your visual identity, you want consistency, the same colors and fonts. I'm very particular on that. Whenever I create things, I'm always using the same font scheme throughout all of the marketing that I do. If I decide I want to switch something up, I either subtly work it into my branding so that eventually you think it was just always there because it didn't just hit you in the face, or we do a rebrand, and when we do the rebrand, we make it known, hey, look, it's, you know, new year, new look. And then I build off that and don't vary from that for a while. The worst thing you can do is create your brand and change your style up every 6 months. Nobody's ever going to remember who you are when they're flying through their feeds if you never look the same. Now, you could say the same thing. Well, okay, maybe it gets stale because you always look the same. The average lifespan for a website is 3 to 5 years. If you change your website, you could change the content, but if you change the look and feel of it every year, it's not refreshing to people who come and visit like you think it is. Instead, they're like, oh, and I got to figure out how to navigate this. People like ease of use. People don't like to be challenged every time they're trying to do something. That's not fun. When you create a new look, keep that in mind. If you do change your website up, make it simple to navigate. Even maybe put a little tutorial thing on it, or if you have a bot, make the bot come up and say, you know, hey, it's a new website. If you need me, I'm here. Then make the bot go away. Don't make that bot be annoying to people, because I'll tell you right now, that's one of the number one complaints people get is this stupid bot keeps popping up while I'm trying to work. I hate that. If I want it, I'll go there. You can have it pop up once and let people put it away. Don't be annoying to your customers. You'll drive them to your competition. That's what happens. So that's Looka, and that's what it does. And then the next one we're going to look at is Adobe Express. Okay. Adobe makes amazing products. Everybody knows that. Most Adobe things are expensive as well because they do so much. Adobe Express is another all-in-one creation environment, and Adobe has integrated generative AI directly into this program. Now, I have Adobe Photoshop. There's AI in that. Photoshop is something that if you used it from now till the end of your days, you will never use it all. There's so much in there. But if you're good with Photoshop, you can do amazing things. Adobe Express is a simple version of Adobe Photoshop. You don't want to invest all that money? Go with Adobe Express. You want to be able to do most of the things that you can do in a simpler form? Go with Adobe Express. It's great. Just like Canva, we're seeing AI move inside traditional platforms. Instead of AI being somewhere that you visit separately and bring stuff over, it's inside the program. And Adobe specifically says that its AI templates are designed to be commercially safe, which is important to know if you're designing for someone else. So you want to make sure you don't create something for your client that they are going to get flagged on. So notice, once again, I have not told you which one is best. That's intentional. Canva might make sense for someone who's creating lots of social content. Brandmark or Looka might appeal to somebody who's starting a whole business and needs the entire look for the visual identity. And Adobe Express might make some sense for someone who's already comfortable in the Adobe ecosystem. Okay, so the goal isn't to collect AI tools. Remember this. The goal is to find the tools that solve your problem. Okay. Not everybody needs everything. And look, we've talked about this in the human layer in our last season. Don't let AI erase your creativity. Use your creativity in the AI. It's way more effective and important for you. So let's go to our next category, which is AI image creation. Not going to spend a lot of time here, but I do want to touch on all of this. Okay. So let me start with ChatGPT images. And let me tell you something. First things first, okay? AI is not Photoshop. Okay, you've seen me use ChatGPT as examples throughout Crypto City, and you've seen how well my GPT verse and I communicate. But image creation has given us some of our funniest and most frustrating moments. Okay, so when I'm talking to Verse and we're using our language, you know, I can explain exactly what I want, correct something, establish rules, keep refining the idea. But when we generate an image, those instructions have to become pixels. Generative image models are creating or reconstructing an image based on those instructions. So every time we make changes and it regenerates, it's not simply moving the individual objects around like it would in Canva or Photoshop. You're not just cutting this and moving it here. That's why when I say sometimes change only the logo, all of a sudden it says, certainly, I've changed the logo. And then I look and it changed the woman's face, 3 buildings, her shirt, 10 different things changed. And I'm like, that's not what I asked for. So generative AI is strongest when you give it room to generate. The more you need it to be exact on pixel level, the more likely you eventually want to move to a traditional design tool and go over to, and go over to like Photoshop. So here's an example. And I'm just going to show you this. So I said, do you want to take a shot at creating a template for the sponsor shout outs? Because we have a Halloween party coming up. It must use our correct logo, the minimal wording, as well as to stay away from the edges. And we should include the event details along the bottom. Now, here's something I want to point out. All of those rules I just went over, I already have in my GPT. She knows those rules, but I reiterate the ones that sometimes slip through the cracks, especially the one about going around the edges. Sometimes it comes back and it's right to the edge. So she created this image and I'm like, okay, great. So this is good for the sponsors now that we have horizontal logos or just names, but can we make a similar one for the vertical ones? So she recreated it as a vertical. She did almost an identical version. She did really, really good. It looks very similar. And I said, yes, that's perfect. One teeny tiny edit. Can we just add the word costume before contest? So she changed it. And this was going so well. And then I said, boom, there it is. Please save this as our vertical Halloween sponsor template. So do you want me to give you the pictures to incorporate into the template? Or do you want to download them and add them myself? And I said, here's Louie. So she dropped them in. Okay. And then I said, okay, Verse, I was able to bring this into Canva and work with it. It definitely didn't adhere to our rules with the logo, which is super frustrating. So you might not really notice it. It's very subtle, but the font changed. And when it's your logo, even a smallest subtle change is a big deal. Because that's your logo. That is what you are known by. And if somebody else changed your logo on you, you would be very upset. Don't change your logo on yourself and don't let AI do it. Make sure you're paying attention. Okay. So we went back and she said, yes, I think that it's frustrating, but the best thing to do is to do it in, over in Canva. So that's what happens sometimes. So always make sure you are paying attention to what you're generating. And if you have to take it from AI and bring it over there to massage a few things out, it's not the end of the world. They did the bulk of the work for you. There are times I go over there and I'm like, I love this. And 2 days later, I'm like, now I don't like that anymore. And then I can, within Canva, play around with it and change things up. Go into Photoshop, change the color schemes. I can do all those things if you are using multiple programs, which most marketing people are. So don't feel like AI should just do everything for me. That's not the case. Next one is Playground AI. Okay, so Playground AI is super simple. It's a lot of fun. If you're bored, go in there and play around. I have so much fun in it. I'm going to take you over here to Playground AI. I already put in a prompt to save us some time, and I asked it to create a cinematic, futuristic virtual city at night, viewed from a rooftop with glowing skyscrapers, people wearing VR headsets, and subtle purple neon lighting, realistic digital art. That's the style, because within Playground AI, you can tell it to do certain styles and the size. So let's push this in and see what happens. Ooh. Boom, there we go. Some of them are exact, like this one looking up, this one coming down. Some of them are from the rooftop. Some of them are a cityscape. Some of them are looking up at the rooftop. So some of them hit a little bit better than others, but there are so many things like this one here might be my choice. I might be like, okay, that's not bad. Now, if you wanted to do something with it, this is where you've got to go in. You can get started for free and you can create an account and you can play around in there, or you can go back and you can try to create a little bit more. You can go up here and you can put in some edits to it. Like I might turn around and say, I'm going to go up here. Hard to look at with the headset on. Maybe it is not letting me. Oh, it created it as a template. We don't want that. Go forward here. Okay. Well, I'm not going to go through for the sake of time and change it, but I was going to change it to a brighter one to make it a daytime version. Okay. So you can go in there and you can create all those visuals. You can pick one you like, go in and edit and modify it and keep playing around with it. And you might find a background that's perfect for what you're trying to design. You might find something that you decide you want to be the wallpaper for a world that you're creating. You can create all types of cool things in here and then export it to another program and utilize it over there. Okay, back to our slideshow. So, ideogram, this one, I'm a little sad about. I had originally wanted to demonstrate this one live, but the feature I wanted to show you requires a paid plan. And honestly, I wasn't going to pay for all of these different programs because I don't need all of these different programs. Make sure, I said this at the beginning for anybody who came in late, pay attention to the things you subscribe to with a free subscription, because when it renews, it will hit. So keep track of the things that you're working with when you're creating your toolbox. But Ideogram specifically put a huge emphasis on text inside generated images. Its current platform claims 95% text rendering accuracy. That's huge because most AI, you have to generate and generate and generate until you get exactly what you're looking for. Sometimes it will be perfect on the words, and then you'll notice that some of the letters are smudged, like it doesn't always treat it as text. So this program is known for doing that. You can generate a poster, social graphics, and then extract the text into editable layers rather than regenerating the whole image. That right there is incredible and really amazing because most AIs aren't treating it that way. Most of them are regenerating everything when they're using imagery. So, you can go in there and you can play around with it and see if that's something that works for your, my hand just got away from me, that works for your toolbox, okay? And then the next one is Leonardo AI. So Leonardo is a powerful, and that's why we didn't make it a whole demonstration because it's like Photoshop. It's got a lot involved in it, but it's a powerful program, and it offers multiple image models with different specialties, plus reference image guidance for things like style and content and character consistency. Leonardo AI AI is, it's different models have distinct strengths like photorealism, editing, but it also means that there's a lot more to learn, just like if you were using Photoshop. So this is a program that you're not just going to pop in and go, oh, boom, 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 and be done. You're going to get sucked into it and you're going to want to do 50 million things. It's definitely worth exploring when you're ready to go deeper. It gives creators more choices around models and styles and reference images and control over how images are generated. Okay. So it's really meant for someone who's going to say, I like AI generation, but I really want more control. So this is going to be just like we talked about when you're in Canva and you're creating all these great things, but then you want to really get down the nitty gritty and you export it and bring it over to Photoshop and play with it there. So the next one that we're just going to talk about for a second is Midjourney. I know that a lot of you are familiar with Midjourney, maybe used it. When it first came out, it offered an awful lot of things that you could do for free, and they realized right away, nope, we're going to make you pay. It is definitely something that if you have the paid program, you can do incredible video stuff with. High quality generative AI artwork, especially popular with people who are interested in doing really strong visual aesthetics, okay? In artistic things that are just eye-catching. But unlike some of the tools that we're showing tonight, you generally need to have the paid plan to really use it. And our last category today is going to be AI video and audio creation. But I do want to say something before we get too far. Don't choose your image generator, your AI generator. Don't choose that based on something that somebody on TikTok told you was the best or something you heard a developer you like is using. That doesn't mean that it's the best one for you. Ask yourself, what am I trying to create? Do I want an easy starting point? Do I need beautiful artistic imagery? Am I looking for accurate text? Do I need more advanced controls? These answers are going to lead you to completely different tools. So I'm not telling you go in tomorrow and use everything I gave you here today. Figure out what you need and then go in and explore some of the ones that look like they might align with you. So I'm not giving you CityGirl's top 5 AI image generators. I'm telling you how to choose an image generator, and that's way more important. So AI generated doesn't mean AI directed. You are the creative director. Back to that human layer. If the image doesn't represent your brand, your message, or your vision, don't use it. Just because AI generated it doesn't mean it's great. Regenerate it, edit it, bring it on your own, and figure out what to do with it. Okay? And that's going to hold true pretty much for what we're going to look at next, which is a little bit of AI video and audio creation. First one is Runway. Runway, let's go over here for a second. Let's close out Brandmark and go to Runway. Okay, so I logged into this one already and uploaded an image so we'd have something to work with here. So Runway tools include text and image to video generation. I have a free plan, so I can't create the full video generation, but you can, with the free plan, go in there and play around a little bit with changing images in the AI generation. If you decide you want to put together little snippets, little shorts, you want to do things like that, you want to bring in an actual image and work with it. I know you've seen a lot of people in here putting together really cool videos that look like little AI movies and stuff like that. These are the kinds of programs that you need to do that kind of stuff. Okay. So Runway, for this focus, we're going to kind of keep it on just the iteration of an image. I uploaded an image here of a brown dog, and I'm going to say, okay, make this brown dog often with wide eyes. Oh, I missed a letter there. I will say once again, I am the world's worst typist. So I went to school in a place where it wasn't necessarily taught. So, all right. So our image is here. It's just a picture of a brown dog with the big open mouth, and he's just sitting there. And now it's going through and it's thinking about this. Okay. It said upgrade to use this mode. But I don't need to use that. So it does say the edit needs your go ahead before it runs. So I don't need to do anything really drastic to it. So I'm just going to do this little generate image down here, and it will use some of my free credits. So I have 400 credits up here at the top. It costs me 20 credits to go ahead and try to generate something. So let's see what it comes back with. Now, the reason why you might say, oh, well, it's no big deal to just change a face on somebody, and that's really not a big deal. But the thing is, with this program, you can get consistency in taking an image and making new iterations of it. So maybe you've got one iteration of it where the dog is laughing, the next one where he's got his head down, the next one where he's looking over to the side, and then you bring it into a video processor and add some AI video to it, and you can, so look at it, opened up its eyes and made it look like it's smiling. Okay, it's not that different from what it originally was. So let me see if I can bring back the original image. So he was looking to the side and it didn't, his mouth was open and he was panting. So then it brought it up and it made it so that it looked like he was happy. And I might say, you know what, that's not good enough. I need it to be more in depth. And so you would do another iteration. Now, if you have the paid program, you've got access to do that. I only have these credits here, so I would have to upgrade in order to be able to do several iterations of this. But I will do one more for you just so we can see. Make the dog look angry and growling. All right, I'm going to approve it. And let's see if that changed. So now, if what you see is I'm creating various different versions of this, and it's saving the versions that I'm creating. So if I wanted to put a little scene together, I could have a whole scene of this with the dog. Maybe he's, getting in a fight. Maybe he's or maybe he was upset about something, and I'm creating this as a character in a book. And I want to have different versions of him. So I'm going to have consistency by using this. And we'll move on after we do this one. So we're almost at the end. I appreciate you guys staying a little longer. Okay, so here we go. Now he's growling. Now he's angry. And now we have this dog, but you can still tell it's the same dog. And, we went from the original version to this. Okay, so if you look at how it kind of keeps the actual image similar, the benefit of this is making videos. Because now if I have the paid version, I could go over into the video part of it and I could make that dog go from the smiling to the growling into a video with AI. Okay, let's go back here. And we're going to go to a little look at Pika. Pika is another AI video generation platform. It leans heavily into approachable creative effects for short form transformations. So you might have a little ad where something's happening in the ad. I know you guys have scrolled through before on Facebook and Instagram, and you've seen where it says, hey, do you want to create these amazing ads where, the woman in the ad is standing there and she offers you a box of chocolates or something, like those kinds of things. This is the type of program you would use for that. It's an option worth exploring, particularly if you want to experiment with short, little fun form AI videos and effects without turning all of tonight into film school, okay? The next one we're going to look at is 11 Labs. And this is more audio, okay? So 11 Labs is heavily focused on AI generated speech and audio, including text to speech, voice creation and cloning, dubbing, and other voice applications. You can pick a voice, you can generate it, play it. That's it. It's really cool. So let's look here for a second. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this.
Cleanliness is the key to a healthy, happy life.
Okay, so that was it. You could, there's a narrator. You can sit here and you can say, okay, the agents that are going to do phone calls for you, the API to build it into your scripting. You can have characters. Sometimes they're playful and engaging voices. You can have, let's see, it should play it for you.
So what do you plan to do with that sword? I'm going to guess nothing.
Hey
And
guys,
this is more like an advertisement voice. So you can type in all the text and you can have it do the narration for you. So what this is super helpful for is people who don't want their voice on their ads. They want it to sound like a professional voiceover. Okay. It's good for audiobooks. It's good for character voices. If you were trying to put together a little on-screen VR thing and you didn't want to use your own voices. One of the things that I think it would be fabulous for is if you're trying to translate something into a multilingual, book for both, English and Spanish and French, and you want to put something out there, you could use this by, translating all of the, taking all of the text in Spanish, dump it in and tell it to use a Spanish speaking voice. So then you would get all of that authentic accent. That's very important for certain people who are promoting and creating different things. So remember, all of these things are meant to help you, but I will tell you something. Voice cloning, okay? It's a good example of why AI ethics matter. Just because technology can recreate someone's voice doesn't mean that you have permission to use it. If it's your voice and you want to run with it, fine. But going out there and stealing people's voices from, like celebrities, musicians, things like that without permission, not cool. Don't do that. I know some people do it and they're just like, oh, it's AI. We're just having fun, blah, blah, blah. But there are people out there who kind of do those things unethically and have the celebrity saying things that could be detrimental, could be mean, harmful, things like that. Don't do that stuff. Let's try to keep a code of conduct that we can be proud of ourselves for the things that we're creating and pushing out into social media. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say on that is just be responsible. And then our last one here, we're going to look at is Adobe Podcast. Okay. Adobe Podcast is the least flashy, least cool looking one of all the things in our entire toolbox, but it's probably one of the most immediately useful ones. So Adobe Podcast includes an AI powered speech enhancement. So when you do spoken recordings, if you do podcasts, if you do different things that you're pushing out to the public, it can go in and it can clean up the audio. It can reduce background noise. It can reduce echo. It can do a lot of this stuff. Now, are there other programs that do that, like DaVinci and stuff? Absolutely. But DaVinci is an entire program that can do all video editing. So this is for people specifically doing podcasts just to clean it up and make it great. And, not every tool that you have in AI needs to create something from nothing. Sometimes AI's best job is fixing something that you already made. So this podcast, for example, if I was to go back and listen to it later and it was super staticky, I might be able to clean that up in this program. So that would be super helpful for people who are creating a lot of outward facing audio. Okay. So I don't expect you to remember every website that I showed you tonight. And I definitely don't expect you to go home and sign up for all of them. And I want you to remember that this toolbox exists on Discord if you ever need to refer back to it. Okay. I know we've talked about this being the last season of Crypto City. That doesn't mean that at the last episode, I'm taking down the Discord and all that's going away. I'm going to leave everything up there. So, I might not leave it up there forever because obviously technology has changed. And from season 1 to now, now, it's irrelevant, the stuff that we talked about back there. Not all of it. Some of it is still the foundation and fundamental, but a lot of the stuff has advanced and taken, a new look on. So some stuff, may not be relevant, but as you get closer to these episodes, a lot of this stuff for people who you might know that say, hey, I'd really like to get, into AI and using it, but I don't even know where to start. Send them over to the Discord. Let them take a look at it. Tell them to go to YouTube and watch the videos. Okay. The Discord, the only reason I'm telling you to go there versus YouTube is because the links are in Discord. You can download the slides, and that's really cool. But when you have a problem, research, branding, images, video, audio, there may be a tool that can help in AI, but your job isn't to collect tools. Your job is to know what you're trying to build so that you can go find the right tool. And next time we do this next training, part 2, we're going to move beyond AI in these tools into what actually helps us build and create inside virtual spaces like VR. Okay, we're going to talk about some of the AI tools. Well, we're going to talk about some of the tools, and sometimes AI can be helpful within those tools or within these programs here that we talked about today that you can use to create imagery to bring into the VR worlds as well. Okay, so with that said, I appreciate that I'm looking out here and there's so many of you still here. Thank you so much for staying to the end. I know it was a lot. I really appreciate, you guys coming out on a Monday night. I hope that you found some of it helpful, even if it was just that you say, oh, I want to go back and check that out later on. Okay. I also want to take a moment to thank our sponsors without whom we wouldn't be able to push this show out. We've got DJ Marcus J, who helps us with our cameras and the recordings. We've got Kip, who helped build this world, who does so many amazing, creations here in the metaverse. It's crazy. If you haven't seen his work, you are under a rock. You got to check it out. Rich from Hume AI. And I actually want to touch on Rich for a second. So Rich is one of our sponsors. He's been a sponsor since way back at the beginning. He pushes a product called Go High Level. Okay. I am going to try and get him in here before the end of this season to talk about that program. So I was under contract with the programs that I had, and I just recently, this past week, as a matter of fact, jumped over to Go High Level because my contract ran up with what I was signed up for. And I spent some time with Rich. He showed me what it can do. It is outrageously powerful. It does a lot of stuff. Anybody who isn't familiar with it, you should at least listen to the demo, at least talk to Rich, at least see if it can help you. Now, are there parts of it I don't need? Of course. It's a very powerful program. It can do pretty much everything you need for e-commerce, for marketing, for pushing content out. It does pretty much what like 6 different programs do all in one, but it also includes your websites. It includes website design. It includes the back-end merch piece. All of that is in one place. So I'm not going to go through all of it. I'm going to try and get him on to talk about it, but I do want you to know that, I appreciate that he came in here and talked about different things, and it stuck in my head, and I said, you know what, I need a new solution. I'm going to go look. And he took the time to talk to me. I know he'd take the time to talk to you. He's an amazing teacher, and he offers a lot to this community. So also, Fuchsia from the Virtual Fitness Group. She's here in the audience almost every week, and she has created such a phenomenon over in Instagram with her virtual fitness group. She's got so many people signed up. We get together various times of the week from all over the world. Every time zone is covered, and people go in there when it's comfortable for them. It's all self-run, so you go in there. She runs the page, but we go in there and we say, hey, I'm going to be available tonight at 9 p.m. to work out. If you're interested, put a thumbs up, and then I'll drop the code to the world, and people come in, jump in with you and work out. We have so many laughs, and yeah, sometimes you get busy talking in the thing, and then all of a sudden you realize that the time that you've been in there, it's been half hour, 45 minutes, it just flew by, and you've done such a great workout. And I will tell you something, I have never gotten off not sweaty. It's disgusting. I get off. I worked out so hard. It is amazing. And you're in your home. Take off the headset, go take a shower. You're good. back on with the rest of your day. So, Cyber Shay here in the audience. Again, been one of our people since day one over in the other platforms. She's joined us. She's come. She has embraced everything she's learned in AI and VR, and she has rocked it. Creative worlds. She's authored books. She's worked within organizations in here to help promote artists. She's done everything. So we're very proud of her. We've got Kempachi City, who is, myself and Kuan Kempachi bringing in, different things with hip hop and culture into the metaverse. We do a podcast called That Hip Hop Joint, and we're just trying to, bring hip hop into IRL and the metaverse and kind of do that little crossover in between. Ice Cold Stacks from the Ice House Casino and Lounge. It is open. It is live. She is doing events. She's killing it. It is so cool over there, everything she's done. And she works with Ty Sky, the DJ over at BYOB events, and they're bringing different live streaming events, comedy events. They're doing all types of things to bring the community together. And, Ty Sky, the DJ, he DJs as well for a lot of different events. So we are proud and happy to have all of these people on board helping us do these shows for you. And next week, we are going to bring on S6 Chomp from YGC. He's going to talk about some of the work he does doing videography here in the metaverse. He's also an accomplished rapper and musician, so he will be our guest next week. I know he offers video services for a lot of different things within the metaverse, both events and then private videos, people for artists and stuff if they wanted to do music videos. So we'll bring him on and we'll talk about that. And we will move on after that into September. This year is flying by. So once again, thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate you. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Thank you.